Hi there and thanks very much for joining me. I'm Dean, this is Woodwork Journey, and today we're going to be looking at the cheapest set of chisels that I could find just before Christmas. These cost £11.11. Let's get into it. Okay, so just before Christmas, I was going to be doing some reviews, but I had illness and the roof falling in and all these sort of things going on, so I couldn't get them out then. But these are the cheapest set of chisels that I could find on Amazon Prime, which were £11.11. I think there is a cheaper set on there at the moment, but these seem to actually get pretty good reviews. So for £11.11, we've got 8mm, 12mm, 18mm and 26mm, and let's have a little look. We're going to sharpen them up. I've even got my big boy camera here today, so I can take some macro shots of the blades before and after sharpening, and we can have a little look-see at what we've got going on. Right, let's get into it. So what we've got here, these ones are called Workzite. However, on the back, you'll see that it says Conmetal, which isn't an ideal name, to be fair. Conmetal Meister GmbH, and then there's a part number which matches the one that is on the Amazon page. But fairly basic, straightforward stuff. I've not opened these before. I've not tried them before. So we're going to all learn about this together. Now, what I don't know is if these are the ones that are essentially the same as the Paul Sellers' favourite chisels, which he got from Aldi, I think they were. Now, these do have a sort of a flatness going on the handle. They've got a fair bit of weight to the blade, or to the front aspect of it as well, which I'm quite impressed with. Let me just get the camera over a little closer. So as you can see on this big old 26mm affair, we've got a sort of a fairly nice looking profile. There's a little bit of depth to it. It's kind of beveled down, but they are flat sided, and there's a fair chunk to it. Even with the smaller ones, I mean, there is a bevel going on, but it's not the biggest bevel in the world. But we'll see if they're going to turn out to be any good. But like I said earlier on, we've got an 8mm version. We've got the 12mm going on right there. We've got the 18mm, if I can get the light right, and we've got the 26mm as well. So we've got a fair few to look at. Let us go with the let's go with the 18mm. That'll be the one that we'll sharpen up today, and we'll see what it's like. So I'm going to take a picture of what their blade looks like at this point. I mean, it does feel fairly sharp. It does feel a little bit rough, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it does feel fairly sharp on there. But yeah, we'll take a nice little macro shot and we'll see what it looks like. Right, what I'm going to do is flatten the back first and foremost, and we'll see how we get on. I did just check the angle, by the way, and it looks as though it's kind of really rough ground to be a between a 30 and a 35 degree single bevel going on. It is rough ground, and the macro shot did show that there's chunks out of it and all sorts. So it definitely needs a little bit of sorting out. But what we're going to do is just see what the back is like. Ideally, we're looking for a hollow in the middle rather than a belly, just because that's going to be a lot easier to fix and sort out. Yeah, let's get on with it. Now, this sharpening is going to upset the purists because I'm using WD-40, but haven't got any lapping fluid. I did ask on an Instagram short if people have ever used T-cut for a lapping fluid, because it kind of makes sense in my head. It's not going to rust, but at the same time, it's got a slight sort of cut to it generally, hence the name, I suppose. Right, let's have a little look. I'm going straight to 400 rather than starting off on a sandpaper of a higher grit or a lower grit, an angrier sandpaper. And we'll see how we get on. I'm going to try and keep things reasonably quick for you, but we'll see how this metal works. Now, I did sharpen before Christmas one of the Ox Tools chisels on a live, and it took forever because it was a really hard steel, and I've still got to do a full review on them. But they're solid pieces of kit, not necessarily for woodworkers, but they are a solid piece of kit. Right, let's have a little look and see what we've got. So this is what we're looking at so far. So it's not a hollow, but we're looking at kind of this flat piece here. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't look like it's too much of a bulge either. So we will, I'm going to stop the camera and just crack on with that one, and we'll see how long it takes us. We haven't got to do the whole back, just got to do this kind of, really only need to do kind of this much, the first inch of it or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to stop the camera and then crack into it and see what we're looking like. I wanted to stop at this point just to show you that we are getting a kind of a little bit of a hollow. I'm attacking the outside of that one and just a touch on the outside of that one. So, you know, it's in better shape than it could be. To be fair, that's coming along quite nicely. Okay, so at this stage, that's where I'm going to leave that for the time being. I'm going to move on to my next grit. It's going to be a little bit awkward because these handles, you know, we have got the Wasney, which kind of does get in the way a little bit when it comes to flattening. But yeah, we'll see how we get on. So I'm now going from 400 to 1000 grit. Okay, so we can see the slightly diagonalized kind of little bit, which is the bit that I was just doing on the 1000. I'm just going on the leather strop now with some green compound on it. Just doing pullbacks rather than moving forward, because obviously, even though we haven't sharpened the chisel yet, it could tear into the leather. And that's what we're looking like now. So it's getting, it's not quite a mirror finish, but it's not far off. And that'll do for the back. That's very close to that 30 degrees to me. Very close. So yeah, I was going to go 25 and then do a 30 degree secondary bevel, but I think we're just going to go with that 30. And we'll start off on the 400 grit. Oh, just before I start, to give you an idea what it looks like, you can see those kind of almost diagonal markings going on right there. You can see also that the 400 on this top left hand corner has already, I only did a couple of swipes on it, but it's already getting in there. So yeah, I think the 30 degree bevel on here is worthwhile. It might even be a 35 affair, but we'll see how we get on. Now, I know everybody says about putting the fingers on the front there, but I also find it useful to, when I'm using the jig, to have it reversed, and then I can put my thumbs on a chisel or a plane, and I find that is a little bit more comfortable in some cases, especially when I've got sore fingers or my, you know, arthritic hands aren't working overly well. Look at us, just breaking barriers, doing things backwards. Little rule breakers. We can see that the blade wasn't properly squared off. Anyway, that high point on the left is wearing down quicker than on the right, as you would expect. But at least we're moving in the right direction. Okay, so we're pretty much there. That's almost straight now. And I think we're going to move on to the 1000 grit at this stage. But we do have a little bit of a burr that I keep sort of pulling off when I use the rag to clean it up. But yeah, let's get on to it. To get rid of the burr, I'm just having this flat, still on the 400 grit, and then giving it just a little pull back. And away we go. Maybe one more. That's it. Okay. Yeah, that's the burr off. Now, onto the 1000 grit. I'm pleased the hard work for the 400 is done, because now we can just get on with the 1000, and it's a lot less effort than everything we just had to do. If you're using a roller, make sure that when you change grits, you take the nasty old stuff off the roller before moving up. We really are getting close to a mirror now, but a little bit of stropping and that should help that out a lot. Okie dokie, let's see how sharp this actually is. All right, so I've just taken the honing guide off. Let's move my stuff out of the way. A bit of paper. Yeah, it can come in on the edge, which is pretty cool. Look at that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Probably do the shaving test as well. Yeah, yeah. Right, let me take a picture of that before I go any further. Well, it's all well and good being nice and sharp to cut paper and also to shave hair, but what does it actually mean in the real world? This is just a bit of pine, it's just construction lumber. Let's just see what happens here. That is powering through. Do you know what? That's also leaving an incredibly smooth finish as well, which is lovely. But what about when it comes to hardwoods? Well, we've got some of that to try as well. Right here, I've got some American hard maple. It's only a thin bit, to be fair, but, you know, I haven't got any oak to hand, unfortunately. I mean, it's going through easy. And it's leaving a lovely, absolutely lovely finish. But one more test. What I'm going to do is pretend I'm cutting a dovetail, and we'll see how it chisels out the insides. Right, I've gone very quick marking out there. I'm not going to mark out the angles properly. So I honestly thought I was recording then, but what I've done is I really smacked through this hard maple to really chop out the bit that's now it's shot off somewhere. After cutting that original kind of dovetail affair, now I'm just going to see if I can pair it with the chisel. Now, like I say, I did really give this a solid beating with the mallet. So let's just have a little look. It's a little bit tight. But we might be able to get away with it. And more importantly, I'm going to take a photo of it afterwards so we can see compared to how the blade looked after sharpening to how it looks now after I've given it a bit of a beating. So looking at the pictures, we can see there is some degradation of the blade, but you would expect it. I've just been knocking the crap out of it on maple, but it still feels jolly sharp to the touch. So I've just viced up this bit of pine again, and let's just have a little look, see what we're going for. And again, that is a really nice, smooth and shiny finish. I'm quite surprised, to be honest. Okay, so I think what I will be doing is taking off this this coating over the top of the handle and also the lettering as well, so we can get rid of that. That just doesn't look very nice, and the sort of the lacquer or the finish doesn't feel great, to be honest with you. I'm not going to get rid of the lettering on the blades just because I can't be bothered. But yeah, I mean, also, to be fair, the fact that it says 18mm is going to help me. Well, they all say their sizes is going to help me immeasurably remember what the hell I'm doing. So, is a set of £11.11 chisels actually worth the effort? Well, if you're willing to put the time in to sort them out, I mean, pretty much any chisel you get, you're going to have to sort out when you first get them anyway. I think a couple of additional things is I might kind of ease off the corners and smooth them out a little bit, because they're quite sort of wavy. They're quite ridged with or the sides rather, not the corners. But the sides of the chisel seem to be sort of quite wavy because they're very roughly machined, so I might smooth those out over time. But no, otherwise I was going to keep these purely for my softwood chisels, but to be honest with you, I might use them a lot more for a bunch of other things, because once you've gone through all that aggro of tidying them up and sharpening and everything else, then you're plain sailing, and it takes very little to keep them sharp. And as we've seen, these stay sharp quite well even after pummeling some hard maple. So yeah, all in all, I think these are a worthwhile purchase. As I said, I will leave an affiliate link down below. It's just, again, I know nothing about this company, they know nothing about me, but it is just something that I can earn a couple of pence from if you decide to use that link. All in all, I think they feel good. They're quite weighty on the front there. They're not sort of balanced as you would think, but yeah, worth a purchase for the money, and great if you're starting, but also great if you are an experienced woodworker as well. Right, that's it. Thank you very much. I hope it's been useful. If it has, please leave me a like and maybe even subscribe. I'd much appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.